This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by the IBF World Featherweight Champion Josh Warrington over Zoom. Josh, Happy New Year. I hope you could enjoy the festive period as best as what you can. Some unfortunate news, which we will come on to shortly with regards to your fight, but away from that, what did you get up to over Christmas? I hope you could enjoy it as best as possible.
Yeah, good speaking to you, Andy. Good to see you. You're looking well, mate. Just spent time training and time with the family. Not what really could have done differently, but with myself knowing that there was going to be an announcement of a fight, we're preparing for early February. So the sparring had intensified and all the training have really picked up over the Christmas period. So if I want in the gym, then we're just at home, just spending time with the family.
Mate, let's obviously get straight into a question which I'm sure you've asked yourself many a times and you've had many people ask you since the announcement. It isn't Kanju on the February 13th. It is Maurizio Lara. Just kind of explain to me and to everybody what has happened, Josh.
Cut a long story short, mate. Obviously, this fight has been in the making for over 12 months. Prior to the pandemic, we were looking to be fighting at Headingley last May. There was going to be 25,000 people there. My first fight back with Matchroom, unification fight in the summer months, and 3 belts on the line. It was going to be a massive occasion and all that. Then the pandemic hit. And we've been trying to make this fight happen ever since. Now, we weren't able to do it in Eddie's back garden. We weren't able to do it behind closed doors before end of 2020. Looked at potentially going abroad over different venues, but didn't suit up. Contract negotiations and all this palaver, and then finally by December, it looks like we've got it over the line. It's going to take place in February. The date was still a bit up in the air, but everything else was sorted. And then I'm waiting for the announcement, and that gets delayed by a day, then another day, and that's turned into a week. That's turned into 2 weeks. And just last week, I heard that he doesn't want to fight no more. And all of a sudden, the fight's being postponed, and we've got a replacement opponent. It's all seemed to happen in space of 48 hours, and it's out for the world to know. And it did leave people asking the question, why is it not Kanju? You've been saying in interviews and every time I've been asked a question, it's like you're preparing for Kanju, you're getting ready for the unification, you've been using hashtag unifications, all that bollocks, and then all of a sudden the fight doesn't happen. What's happened? And it's just, I've been asking me this myself, this same question. Why is he pulled out so close to the fight? I mean, 4 weeks might sound like a long time away, but this has been going on for months, Andy. It's been going for a long, long time. And I'm sure that he'll have been training since, as soon as it started getting talking last year. So just in case the fight came at short notice, I'm sure they've been preparing for it. And all of a sudden, he pulls out. Now, I've heard that, he wants to fight in front of a crowd. I've heard that there wasn't enough money on the table. But all these things he should have known anyway. So it just left me a bit boggled and a bit frustrated and a bit annoyed that, a fighter who tells himself and tells his social media and tells his manager that he wants to be great, yet when it comes to actually putting it on the line, that he's not willing to do so.
Josh, I don't think anybody obviously is looking towards you for the reason this fight's happening. Everybody knows you want the big fights, and we've seen the run of fights you had up until the point when you joined up with Matchroom. Nobody can question your heart, your commitment, and your desire to be in the biggest fights possible. With that in mind, your first fight under Matchroom now, how have you dealt with it from a mental standpoint? Because you've had to wait so long, and the name Maurizio Lara, I imagine, won't give you the same buzz that a Kanju would have done, or one of the other world champions at featherweight.
I think this is where you show your mentality, you show the strength of your mentality. This is where you really do show a bit of guile. You know, you've got to be tough and strong in this situation, especially because, like, for myself, I believe that one of my strong points is my mental game. You know, I once I get a fighter in my head, then, you know, I keep concentrating on the fight. I visualize things. I concentrate. I meditate on that. And in my head for the last, I'd say, 6 months, I've had, you know, Kanju, maybe longer than that. It's been over 12 months, hasn't it? We've been talking about the fight. So I've been focusing on him and only him. Now, with 4 weeks to go, it's changed. And this opponent of mine, you know, he's kind of won the lottery, because it's a win-win. Even if knock him out with the first punch, he's still won, because he's going to get a massive opportunity there, and he's going to get paid for it. And you know, if it goes longer than that, then he's got the chance to win the world title. So it's been tough, mate. It's been tough, especially the last few days. I've kind of been pretty frustrated, but, you know, I've had to try. Well, I have had to calm myself down a little bit and realise that I've still got an opponent in front of me. You know, regain my focus, and now just focus on February 13th against Lara.
Josh, just with the Kanshu fight, when did you kind of come into knowledge that the fight would no longer be going ahead? Because look, mate, we had this conversation on the phone. I'd been told the fight was pretty much agreed, just waiting for an announcement. We spoke, and we was both, you know, you was in the same bucket as me. You know, you knew the fight was there and just waiting to be announced. And then about a week after we last spoke, all of a sudden the fight just, for whatever it just hasn't gone ahead. When did you find out about it?
Must have been at some point last week. I mean, it started off. Normally, these things happen with like a whisper. They happen with a whisper, and then all of a sudden, you know, these whispers, you know, turn into like actual talk, and then all of a sudden it's all over the place. This just seems to happen like within a space of a few hours. And one of the days last week, I can't remember what day it was, and like normally when it happens with a few whispers, you kind of get yourself used to it, so you see it coming. But this one just hit me out of the blue, man. It just come out of fucking nowhere, if I'm honest with you. Pardon my language, but honestly, I didn't see it coming. I really didn't see it coming, and especially when you get, like I said to you before we come on here, that when you get into the last 6 weeks of a fight, you know, everything sharpens. Like, your focus sharpens up. You just become a little bit more snappy, because it's getting real now. It's getting real close to the fight, and this is where you find tapering and you fine tuning before you go into, like, you know, you come down period before you fight. This is where all this takes place, and I was speechless, mate. I was pretty much speechless for the full day of when I found it out, because it's like, I'm just like this. I have no fucking words. No words. I just can't believe that someone would pull out so close with the excuses they have done. They're just, if a fighter gets injury, if a fighter gets an illness, I can understand. You know, even if, like, the fighters had, like, some you know, personal issues, I can understand. You know, we're only human beings at first and foremost. But to pull out with the reasons he has done, it's like, fucking hell, man, you've got to hang your head in shame, and he really needs to give himself a good look in the mirror, because it's like, why do you even fucking don the boxing gloves? You know, is it to be? You see him putting stuff on social media, like hitting dustbin lids in 100 times in 10 seconds, and hitting fucking rubber chickens. Is that what is it? Want to be Instagram famous? Well, it's probably wrong sport to be doing that in, if you're not willing to take part in these big fights.
Josh, I know it's my job. Obviously, I have to ask all these questions. But since the fight announcement, how difficult has it been for you to actually talk to the media about the fight falling through?
I let a bit of steam off with a few interviews, a few over there, and I think I went in a little bit too hard. I went a little bit too hard on everybody, and some people who'd seen the interviews were like, "Listen, you might have to tone that down a little bit. We don't want to be getting fucking lawsuits sent against us." You know, some of the interviews have not gone out, and I've calmed myself down a bit. Obviously, I've had a chance to stew over the you know, the news of him pulling out, and refocus my energy into this next fight, and I've, like I say, calmed down a bit. But I think it's only when I really start talking to it, like when you've asked me, what's your initial thought? It's only when I start questioning why he's pulled out that I get worked up again and I get fucking annoyed about it. But listen, but I'd say by another few days, mate, I'll be all right, and my full focus will be on will be on Lara, and yeah, I'll have another fucking moan about him after the next one.
Well, man, let's move on and away from all things Kanju. Let's talk about Mauricio Lara. What is your knowledge of him as a fighter, and what do you actually expect from him come February 13th?
Well, you know the Mexicans, man, they live and breathe it. He's a 22-2, so 14 KOs. Obviously, I don't think he's boxed anybody at a massive level, but he's got a good knockout ratio, better than me. and I've seen him, box throughout the lockdown period. Just last year he stopped somebody in the first round. Obviously, he's hungry his game. He's taken this opportunity, and it's mad how things like these opportunities can give a fighter energy. It's like I said, there's no pressure on his shoulders. He's not nothing to lose. He's at the jackpot right there, and these can be dangerous fights because like you can take your eye off the ball and you can lose a bit of focus. Maybe look at it as an easier fight, but I don't think there is an easy fight. Whenever you get into the ring, this guy is going to try to take my head off. He's going to try to take my belt, and all of a sudden he can change his life like massively. Having the world title, he'd go back to Mexico, he's a fucking hero, and financially it changes, and people look at him in a different light. So, the little bits of footage we have seen of him, not too dissimilar to Kanju. He doesn't. I don't think he throws as many punches, but still puts his combinations together well. I think he's a little bit taller than myself, and I know it's going to be a tough man. So we anticipate a tough fight, but we were anticipating a tough fight anyway. So it's just maybe change a few of the tactics, a few of the way that we start the fight and the game plan, and yeah, just now get the focus for Lara. Try and get his face pictured in my head.
You just said it there. You've got to get your focus ready for Lara. We spoke again on the phone a couple of weeks ago, and you said you wanted, if it was Kanju, you wanted an early night. You want to get in and get out, and you wanted to stop going through these 12-round wars. Now you've got kind of even more pent-up frustration heading into this Lara fight. Is there even more of a kind of determination to finish it early and then just look towards a brighter future and a brighter, hopefully 2021, where you can get a unification fight?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no, because yes, and the fact of obviously, listen, I like the early nights, Andy. Listen, and I think the fans have seen me now in enough 12-round fights, and I've had some entertaining ones along the way. But like, I think a lot of people like this the explosion when I'm bringing the big finish, the early finishes and the explosive finishes. So I'd like to do that again, but there is a danger of trying to look for it and letting all that frustration get the better of your boxing. Now, any boxer will tell you that knockouts aren't come by just running forward and steamrolling. Even though I did that against Frampton, there was a little bit of boxing behind it. If it was just about steamrolling, then we'd have 100 people at a pub would be world champions, wouldn't we? So it's got to be done in a clinical way, and I can't go out there just wailing away, hoping to get him out. I've got to still keep my head on it. So I think the game plan will be to get out there, leave our mark on it, and do it in a clever way. And if I do get him hurt, which I've massive belief in my punching power, and over this lockdown period I've been working on quite a few things. If I do get him hurt, then it'll be done in a mannered way. But like I say, if I see the opportunity, then I'll be closing the show.
Josh, one name which I'm sure in your case, you're fed up of talking about, but he's been very vocal over social media, calling you out, Kid Galahad. Have you seen Kid's kind of comments over social media?
I've seen bits and bats. I mean, he tweets about me every fucking 20 minutes. Like, so I don't take note to every one of them. Like I say, my focus has got to be on the fight. But yeah, I've seen one or two what he's put out there. He's just trying to give himself a bit of recognition by mentioning my name. That's all he can do to make himself relevant. So, I know he's mandatory, and he will be frustrated as everyone else is that he's had to wait. But yeah, man, it's just a fucking bell end. He's just he's just gonna have to wait, isn't he? He's just gonna have to wait.
Do you have any idea as to when you think that fight may have to happen or may be called?
I'm not too sure. Not too sure. I mean, obviously, the talks of like purse bids going this week. Now, in an ideal world, I should imagine they want to get it sorted ASAP after this one. But we'll see what happens after this next one. See if the opportunities are there for other big fights. I don't want to be fucking giving up my belt for nobody, but I, at the same time, I want to be going forward and beating other names of the division. I feel like I don't want to be having to go over old ground, and if it comes to it, then so be it. I've beaten once before. I'll fucking do it again. It wasn't the most physical fight, to be honest with you. So, and normally my hands take a bit of a fucking pasting. I hit him enough times, but like my face were bang on. Didn't bother me one bit. I can sleep at night with that fight because I, punch statistics show that I landed around 60, 70 punches more than him. So it wouldn't be any different. It'd be the same outcome. We just get another payday. He'd probably fucking still keep on carrying on after that one as well. But we'll have to see what happens after this next one. Anything can change in that time.
Just one more final thing on kind of yourself before I ask you about a couple of the fights. What has Eddie said to you about the rest of this year, provided everything goes to plan against Maurizio Lara?
Eddie wants to get me out. He wants to keep me busy. I think he's felt a little bit guilty in the fact of I haven't been out, but obviously that's not his fault. I mean, I'm not licking arsey or whatever. I don't have to do that. But he's done well to get as a replacement, and I know that they've worked tirelessly. They worked tirelessly in trying to get this fight over the road. So I know they're going to want to keep me busy in this year. First and foremost, got to get February 13th out of the way.
Just moving away from yourself, Josh, just quickly want to touch on a few other fights. Just on your undercard, Lee Wood, Reece Mould, your thoughts?
Yeah, man, it's me, man, Reece Mould. It's his time to shine. Been doing a bit of sparring with Reece. Reece is a very good fighter. He's we don't really get recognition for boxing. He's more of a bit of a brawler, but the man can box, and he's been hungry for this opportunity for a long time. He's probably been waiting for this British title fight as long as I've been waiting for the Kanju. He was originally meant to be fighting Ryan Walsh, and that went to purse bids a few times and then didn't happen. Obviously, Ryan Walsh was in the MTK competition, and now he's got the opportunity against Lee Wood. He's hungry. He's training like a demon, and I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining fight. But I expect my man Reece Mould to do the business.
And then another one, Zelfa Barrett versus Kiko Martinez. It's a very good matchup. Your thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, this is one where Zelfa can really look. He can really look good fighting Kiko. You look at his last fight in the lockdown with his knockout. He's got punching power, and normally Zelfa, I've sparred with him a fair few times. He's got a lot of punch power in his counter punching, and someone like Kiko Martinez, which marches forward with his hands high, has probably seen better days now. Would make Zelfa look really good. And I know Zelfa is good anyway. He's a talent, but he could have an highlight, really, like an highlight kind of fucking knockout with this one. So I expect Zelfa to do the business and do the business in style.
And then final one, a former opponent of yours getting ready to try to become a freeweight world champion, Cole Frampton, Jamal Herring announced for the end of February. Just your thoughts on it now, Josh?
Yeah, I think Carl's he's got a tough ask on his hand. Not that I believe that Jamal Herring's a better boxer or anything like that. I just think that the size difference may play a part in it. And I know that Carl's boxed taller guys before, but Jamel, I think he's a bit better than the other taller guys that Carl has faced. Listen, Carl gets control of that distance, and we should see that in the first round or two. If he does that, then I'll back Carl all the way to do the business. You know, the way that he controls the distance and he uses his feet is absolutely fantastic. I knew that when I boxed him, I had to take that away from him, because if he got into that rhythm, then he'd just ping me about. So yeah, I hope Carl can go on and make history for himself and for Ireland and becoming a free weight world champion. I wish him all the best. It's a tough fast, but I think if, you know, first couple of rounds he gets set into it, he can do it.
And then just a final thing, Josh, away from boxing, are you enjoying life as a Premier League fan?
Yeah, I think so, mate. Listen, some of the results have not been nice to watch. Obviously, getting beat 6-2 by Man United, not fantastic, but we've put on some entertaining performances, and you know, we're not doing too bad. We know we're not in the relegation battle, so, well, not quite yet. So, you know, just remain optimistic, and you know, it's good to see us playing against the big boys. And some of the games you wish that you were there, and some of the other games you're glad that you're not there. So it's one of them. But what about yourself?
Man, I think you know the answer to that. Unfortunately, we seem destined for a long, hard season, sitting there in
Yeah,
90th.
man.
But we won our derby on Saturday, so every kind of cloud has a silver lining.
Yeah, of course, mate. Of course, top man, top man.
Josh, listen, I appreciate your time. Best of luck with your rest of your camp. Hopefully, we do have some more positive news with regards to other world title opportunities for yourself in the near future. I will catch up with you again soon, though. Enjoy the coming months of Premier League football, and I'll speak to you soon, mate. Thanks, Peter Boxing.
Top man, Andy. Always a pleasure. Thank you, mate.